Hello everyone, welcome back to Real Reds Talk. Hello to everyone in the chat who have been patiently waiting. Really appreciate every single one of you. How are we all doing today? We've got a jam-packed show, and we've also got a jam-packed nose, as you can probably hear, because I'm all bunged up here. But yeah, we're going to talk about Matthijs de Ligt from Bayern Munich, potentially reuniting with his coach who brought him to the promised land in Ten Hag. Not getting enough game time there, so we're going to discuss that. Sancho and Mason Greenwood, we made progress on the sales of both of them. Greenwood kind of seen as slightly closer to moving out of the door, according to Italian reports, but then again, you can't always believe that. And also, we've got the Ten Hag extension incoming as well. That's only a matter of time. And towards the end, I want to talk about the top 50 Wonder Kids list and a couple of concerns with that on certain United players. But before I do that, let me blow my nose because I sound so nasally. Yeah, get in the comments. Let me know how you all doing. Lovely to see everyone. I hope you're doing really well. I hope you're fantastic. Let me blow my nose. Sorry, people, for this. Oh. Because you just don't want to hear a very nasally person here for a full show. So, first and foremost, like I said, we're all doing fantastic. Let's dive into this de Ligt news. So, this is coming from Florian Plettenberg, if I pronounce his name correctly. He understands Manchester United is closely monitoring the situation. How many times have we heard that during the transfer windows? Closely monitoring the situation of Matthijs de Ligt. Ten Hag is still a big fan of de Ligt, and Man United are looking for a new centre-back, of course. De Ligt is allowed to leave Bayern Munich for a suitable offer, also because it'll sign today, and they're signing Jonathan Tah from Bayer Leverkusen. So someone has got to go in that sense. They've got quite a few centre-backs. They've got Upamecano, they've got Kim Min-jae, they've got Eric Dyer, but I don't know if Eric Dyer was a loan or not. I had to double-check that. I think he is. And obviously they've got the signing Jonathan Tah. So de Ligt's kind of sat there, it's like, what am I going to do? Am I just picking my arse balls for the rest of the season? Like, what's the crack? And he says, de Ligt, top player, top mentality. Now he is totally focused on the Euros. And obviously, we know with de Ligt, we know his background, kind of a prestigious Ajax academy where many top talents have come through. Was a massive leader for Ajax in his early days, was captain at like the age of 20 or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. He took the record for the youngest player to ever feature in a European final when he started against Manchester United in 2018. Obviously, he's learnt his trade alongside Van Dijk, which he'll be doing in the Euros this weekend. He's learnt his trade alongside, when he was at Juventus, alongside Chiellini and Bonucci, who, like, in terms of education, that's the Harvard of defence. That's the Yale of defensive education, so he's learnt along them. So he's had some pretty good people to educate him and guide him. And he's also a talent in himself. Now, I was actually looking, because obviously I don't watch Bayern Munich week in, week out. So I was being a little bit nerdy, and I was reading into some of the Reddits from Bayern Munich fans about why de Ligt hasn't been starting as much as they thought, or as much as they think they should. So, from what I've read, Bayern Munich fans prefer Upamecano. Now, Upamecano can have his days where he looks a bit shit. I mean, you've seen a couple of them in the Champions Leagues. I can't name specific ones, but I remember watching him a couple of times in the Champions League. Even against us at times against United, I was a little bit like, he sleeps sometimes, gets caught lacking. But in terms of pure ability, they seem to like him, and they seem to want him to start the majority of games. So then you have Kim Min-jae, who they bought for 50 million quid. Eric Dyer, who Thomas Tuchel brought in on loan, and seems to be playing him quite a lot. He was starting over everyone. And then you have de Ligt as well. So you have this centre-back pile-up with Jonathan Tah coming in from Bayer Leverkusen. Upamecano, Tah, Kim Min-jae, Eric Dyer, and Matthijs de Ligt. And I'm pretty sure there'll probably be a young prospect there as well. So, he needs game time. He's obviously a talented individual. Ten Hag knows him extremely well, and maybe it's one of them cases where the manager would get the best out of him because he knows what he's all about. He's a leader, great physicality, not the quickest, but definitely not the slowest at the same time. Amazing education, like I said. Decent price for a former Golden Boy winner over Mbappe in 2018, I think it was. I don't think it's a bad deal, but again, it's hard to really assess it because he hasn't started consistently for Bayern Munich. And we all know how that goes when someone isn't starting for Bayern Munich. on a regular basis. So I don't know. I do like him, but it all depends price-wise as well. Because if we're going in for a centre-back, if they're saying... Let me give you an example, right? If they're saying they want, I don't know, 40 to 50 mil for De Ligt, and then Everton are asking for 70-odd million for Branthwaite, surely you'd go for De Ligt. Surely. So, yeah, I think a lot of it does depend on price. It's got to, just in my opinion, I think purely. But as a player, from what I've seen, I think he's decent. I don't know. I'd have to really watch Bayern Munich week in, week out to give a full-gone, concrete opinion on him. You know, you ask me about anyone in the Premier League, I could probably tell you what type of player they are, how they're doing for the club, etc. In the German league, it's different. You know, he's been starting half the games for Bayern. Why is that? You know, like I said, I've read why fans believe it is, but I need to watch him. I need to watch him more. So, yeah. Jeff saying you're 3 years too late. He's lost it now. Interesting. Chelsea saying Greenwood should leave United. It would be better for him and the club. I'm going to talk about Greenwood in a moment because that deal is progressing quite quickly in regards to him going to Juventus. So I'd keep an eye on that one because it looks pretty close. I mean, you had the Gazette coming out saying that Juventus have agreed a deal. So I believe any minute now over the next couple of days. Obviously, he's not going to the Euros, so that's a deal that can be done. You know, he's not focused on the Euros or anything like that. So he's waiting to make that move. Alex Buck saying opinions on Jonathan David. Not for me. Raw. French League's not a great gauge to see where a player is at, in my opinion. You had Lacazette going to the French League and scoring like 28 goals. So, no, I never really trust the French League. And, yeah. De Ligt all day long with Tadibo, says Dino. Lucky Singh saying Lenny Yoro. I think they're the type of signings that we're going to go for. But don't forget, De Ligt, I think he's only 24 years old. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 24 years old, born in 1999. So he's not even like anywhere close to his supposed prime yet. Fantastic leader, was a captain at a very, very early age for Ajax. And like I said, sometimes the coach, it just takes a bit of a coach with an arm around you. We've seen you in them situations before. People are probably quick to write him off because they'll say, oh, no, he's not starting at Bayern. He struggled a little bit. But it happens, you know. Look when Ten Hag brought Haller from West Ham, Haller weren't tearing it up in the Premier League. He came to Ajax and was like the top goal scorer in the Champions League. So it just happens sometimes. A player works better. You've seen it with Sancho, with our own player. Gone back to Dortmund with Edson Terzic, is it? And he's been playing well again. So it's all about environment. It's all about the coach, the team, wherever you're at. It happens. Players just perform better sometimes in a different kind of situation. And then you get the golden eggs who just perform regardless, like your Harry Kanes or whatever. So, yeah, ironically, because he's from Bayern Munich. So, yeah, let us know your thoughts on Matthijs de Ligt. Educate me more if you don't think I've given enough of an educated opinion. Anyone who watches Bayern Munich week in, week out, then, yeah, talk to me. Tell me why I'm wrong. Get it in the comments. I'm going to move on to Sancho and Greenwood because that news is heating up and there's a lot of people talking about it in the chat. So we had Ty Marshall from the MEN before report that Manchester United have made progress on departures for Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood as they step up plans for the transfer window. And I mentioned before, Gazzetta put out that Juventus have apparently agreed a deal with Greenwood, but Italian press seems to push it a lot. Do you remember with like Rasmus and a couple of other signings, they always over-egg it and say that something's happening when it's not really. So I don't know how much I believe that. I'll wait for someone concrete, like, you know, Ornstein's or Romano's probably the best with Italian links. So I'll wait for Romano on that. But on Dortmund, the interesting thing is that I don't think a lot of people have picked up on is their head coach, Edin Terzic, is leaving the club. So he's like announced his resignation. And he's like, yeah, I'm leaving. Mutual agreement because to get into the Champions League final, I think they won the Pokal Cup. And he's been there for like 10 years. He was like, yeah, it's time to move on. He said it's time to move on. So obviously he was a big fan of Sancho. I imagine he probably had a huge influence on bringing him back on loan. Will that have anything to say? You know, if the new coach comes in, will he want Jadon Sancho? I'm not entirely sure. Jonah's saying bro's yapping, then why are you watching? I never understood that. People go, check this guy yapping, blah, 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 but I'm still going to watch it. Fucking turn it off then if you don't want to watch it. Weird. But yeah, given the budget rumours, United are obviously going to be desperate to sell these guys. We're hearing the reports that it's going to be 50 million quid. that we've got to kind of play about with. That's not going to get you brand flakes. That's not going to get you a lease. It's probably going to get you a Tadibo. That's the one player that we could probably get in that budget. So then these kind of sales with Greenwood and with Sancho, you've got to sell them. You've got to sell them to make room for a budget. You know what I'm saying? Cheers for the view, sausage. Yes, Lewis. Big up Lewis in the chat. Inside. I'm curious to know how they're making progress on Sancho because Dortmund have already said that they can't afford his wage. So, and United have said as well that there are other clubs that are interested. So I don't know who that is. I haven't seen, maybe it's someone in Spain or honestly, I don't know. I don't know who can afford their wages. Someone like a Barcelona certainly can't because they're in a financial mess at the moment. So I would completely write them off. It's not going to be in Madrid. It's not going to be in Atletico. So I don't know. One can only speculate really. I think if we can get between 80 and 90 for both, that'd be pretty good business, all things considered. And it's a lot of work off your hands, you know what I mean? The Greenwood, old debacle bringing him back, that's fine, get him gone. And then Sancho as well. Obviously, Erik Ten Hag's staying on now, so he's not going to want to come back. And Simon Stone from the BBC's already put out there that, they're willing to accept offers for like 40 million quid. So that seems pretty concrete that it's going to happen. Again, be interested to see how that develops. But I'll keep an eye on any reports coming out. That's the latest up-to-date news I've got on Sancho and Greenwood at the moment. And just kind of tying into the transfer window as well, Ineos are keen to hand responsibility for recruitment to dedicated staff led by incoming sporting director Dan Ashworth, technical director Jason Wilcox, and chief scout Steve Brown and director of football negotiations Matt Hargreaves. Under the new structure, Ten Hag would be allowed a voice on transfers, but his redefined role was centre on managing and coaching a squad largely assembled for him. And I think, just on transfers in general, I think his track record, the kind of players that he's bought, you look at Onana was shaky at the start. Granted, second half of the season he's done better. Lissandro, I think, has been good, but again, he's been in and out. You can't really predict injuries though, can you? So that's a bit of nonsense. I think Lissandro's been good for the biggest part. Mason Mount's a big one, where he spent 60 million quid, and he's played, I don't know how many games he's played in total, but it's not a lot, is it? It's probably a handful or 10 games that Mason Mount's played in total. And for your first signing through the door as your star signing, that ain't acceptable. Rasmus, I think I've got a lot of faith in him there. Looks good. Eriksen was good for the first 6 months, but now he's got biscuit legs, so can't really survive in the midfield. Casemiro was a strange one, but again, I don't think that was on Ten Hag. Ten Hag clearly wanted Frankie de Jong, and then Murtaugh and Arnold shit the kecks, came back from Barcelona, and he was like, oh my God, what do we do now? And then he was like, Casemiro, give him a 5-year deal, 60 million quid, 350 grand a week, whatever it is. And, a year later, completely falls off the planet. So, I don't know. There's a bit of both sides to it. But I think, just in general anyway, the best case for a manager is to just focus purely on coaching and football rather than the whole nonsense that's going on above him. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. You know what I'm thinking? I'm just sat here. This is how bog-minded I've been. I've not even changed anything on the fucking... Give me a minute. The news ticker, Juventus with a potential sale. I've already put that out. There we go. The Gazette have put some on. Let me just put that on the news ticker. What an absolute... Oh, you're so thick, Nick. You're so thick. Oh, I don't know. I've only just noticed that. Give me a moment, people. Let me just put that on there. That's the most up-to-date news. I don't know why that other thing was on there. That's better. That's what Gazetta is saying. Juventus have reached a general agreement with Mason Greenwood and his entourage. So that saga, hopefully we can put behind us and move on from that. But yeah, with Ten Hag's track record of certain players and stuff, I'm absolutely fine with that. I think he should always be focusing on football anyway, rather than everything that's going on above him. And hopefully once that's sorted, you will see more pure results on the pitch. And in relation to Erik Ten Hag as well, Romano came out last night, or this morning it may have been, saying Ten Hag's contract extension at United is considered a matter of time. Negotiations are progressing well, with both sides believing a new deal will be agreed soon. So that contract extension is imminent, and it's going to happen. So yeah, I think 25 to 35 million is a good deal for De Ligt. Would only give him £150,000 a week though. Yeah, I'd be curious what he was. Let's have a look at his wages at Bayern. Sorry, I'm going a bit back and forth here on stories. Juventus will cut with Greenwood and Sancho. Well, Juventus aren't getting Sancho, so I don't know how they're going to cut with him. But I imagine he's on a pretty big wage, you know. Let me get it up. I'm guessing it's been like what, 250s, 300 million euros, and he's got till 2026, 2027. His contract runs out. What's 250 million euros? That's 300 million euros. That's 250k a week. Oh, it's not 300 million euros, is it? What am I on about? 300,000 euros in pounds. £250,000 a week, De Ligt's on. So that's just kind of shit on my party, because that's a lot of money, and he's still got a couple of years left on his deal. So how can you offer a player like, yeah, come play at United, but you're going to get £75,000 less? Someone just put, I'd cut a finger off for De Ligt to come to United. I think he's a big fan of him. Do not cut any fingers off, please. No fingers cutting off. If you want him, be passionate about it, but please keep your fingers, especially the important ones. There's a question for you. What's the most important fingers? We've got the index, the middle one, which you can always do that with. That's to that guy in the chat before, by the way. He was talking absolute nonsense. Guy's rambling. Yeah, there's a middle finger for you, mate. You got your pinky. What's your favourite finger? There's a discussion for you. I'm going to go with, I think, the index. It's got to be the index, isn't it? Your pointer. That's your pointer. You can point at someone with that. You lose that, it's just, you know what I mean? You ain't pointing at anyone, you're knuckling someone. And that sounds dodgy, so, yeah, I'm not going to go with that. Anyway, moving on swiftly to the last bit I wanted to discuss, and that is the 50 best wonder kids in football, something that's been released. Let me actually pull it up and get the actual list in front, because there's a couple of United players on there I've been placed in a bizarre position. So, yeah. Let me get it up. Right, that's not top 50. That's 39 to 44. So we definitely want that. But the point is, so they released a 50 best wonder kids. I think Harry Amas is in there at 43. So top 50 wonder kids, which is pretty impressive. Endrick's number 1 without even kicking a ball in Europe. So it shows the amount of hype that's around that kid and the kind of Madrid legacy. Garnacho isn't in the top 10. So the top 10, I mean, so you've got Lenny Yoro, Desire Du, Vito Rogue, Kenal Yildiz, and then Mainu as number 6. And Garnacho isn't in there. You've got Endrick number 1, Lamine Yamal at number 2, Zaya Emery number 3, Arda Güler at number 4, and then Matthijs Tell number 5. So Matthijs Tell is ahead of Kobbie Mainoo, and he started 6 games for Bayern Munich. And he's not even going to the Euros either. Very bizarre. I know France have quite a deep squad, so there's context to that. But I thought that was very, very bizarre. Putting him ahead of Kobbie Mainoo. I wouldn't have had him there personally, but, you know, again, it's about opinion in it, I suppose. Endrick is scoring against Spain and England, mate. He already has more national goals than Vinny. Well, international, I don't like judging a player off international football, to be honest with you. Otherwise, Maguire would be a fucking Ballon d'Or winning centre-back, wouldn't he? You know what I'm saying? I don't like judging off international football. I want to see him for Madrid. Obviously, he's a huge talent. Madrid wouldn't have invested as much money as he did if he wasn't. But putting him in number 1 when he's not kicked a football, and I don't know about that. But I do think, obviously, he's a huge talent and he's going to be a mega player. Juventus have made a proposal worth around 40 million for Mason Greenwood. Talks between the clubs are at an advanced stage. Yeah, so that's going to happen soon. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Bart is a serious fan. Says, now England's biggest club and Man United both have Dutch managers. Interesting. England's biggest club and Man United both. Who's England's biggest? Oh, you want about Liverpool? Absolute turd. Liverpool, not United, are the biggest British club. Man City are the best. Oh, wow. Someone's been smoking on some heavy substances this morning. Honestly, there's a couple of yous. I don't know what's made you decide that, but that seems to be ongoing. So make of that what you will. Didn't we knock you out of the FA Cup, leaving you to win the Mickey Mouse? And we completely ruined Klopp's parade, didn't we? Completely ruined it. So, yeah, that one's for you, Bart. You can have that one on a plate, mate. Absolutely. Anyone seen these links with Calvert-Lewin, by the way? Oh, my God. Man United considered signing Calvert-Lewin and have liked him for a few windows. Talk about injury record. Jesus Christ. Let's have a look at this. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Injury record. Let's have a look at... Right. You ready for this? So, over the past couple of years, ill, broken cheekbone, fitness, hamstring injury, knee injury, hamstring injury, broken toe, hamstring injury, muscle injury, bruise, back injury, ankle injury. No thank you. I will stay away from that walking operation. Not a chance. Gaz Elliott saying, I can't stand Ten Hag. Well, I think you're in the wrong channel, mate. I think you're on the wrong channel. You giving the reasons why you can't stand him. He's not exactly an unlikable guy, is he? Like, why can't you stand him? Because he's quirky? Because he wears brown suits? What is it? Talk to me. Calvert-Lewin would be a disaster to sign, and I'd be Ineos out. I agree with you. 100%. Why do people major breaking news and then the most fucking unbreakable news ever? Yeah, Juventus have made a bid for Greenwood. We've already spoken about that. We're past that, Simon Jones in the Mail Sports. What are you talking about? Jesus. Gaz, have a word with him. Oh, Marseille and De Zerbi. Marseille board have offered a 3-year deal to De Zerbi and negotiations advancing. Contract until June 2027 on important terms with Pablo Longoria and Mede Benatia on it. De Zerbi to Marseille. And that's who we was going to get this guy to be United manager, and he's going to Marseille. For all those people who's pushing for De Zerbi. That surprised me a little bit. That surprised me. Ed Barrett, I missed the centre-back talk. Is Euro good in the air, as that appears to be Tadebo's weakness? So he was predominantly talking about De Ligt. And obviously De Ligt's fantastic in the air, good at duels, very physically strong, decent on the ball as well, but not the quickest. Euro... The only weakness I know of Euro, when we've done like a scouting report on him, is that he's not great when the game turns a little bit chaotic. You know, he loses composure a little bit, but apart from that, he's pretty dominant in most aspects. Great on the ball, decent in the air, quick as well. So yeah, I don't see any outstanding weaknesses. With Tadebo, you're absolutely right, Ed. That is Tadebo's weakness. He's not fantastic in the air, and he's not really great at like the old school kind of defending, but. Apart from that, you have a real positive side on the other side of things. Right, so I put a poll up at the start of the show saying De Ligt a good signing, and it is very close 50-50. 52% said yes, and 48% said no. So, very 50-50 on it, which I understand. You know, he's fell off a little bit with Juventus and Bayern Munich, but I still think Ten Hag could get the best out of him. I'm afraid at least he'll end up going Chelsea, because he'll feel suit Ten Hag aggressive wing profile. I really want Neves signing. Ashley, you're the man. I also want that signing. And don't forget, we've got a video dropping on João Neves, Bruno Fernandes, and Kobbie Mainoo and how that midfield could work. That's almost done. It's almost finished. So for all the members in the chat, you're gonna get early access to that video. It's edited really well. You go into great detail about João Neves, what type of a player he is, how he could function in the midfield, but also the concerns with that as well. So you guys will probably get that either tomorrow or the day after, latest, early access. And then 3 days after that, we'll kind of release for the public on Monday, most likely Monday or Tuesday. So, yeah, please do keep an eye on that. Snowden saying Ten Hag miles better manager than Arteta. Trophy cabinet proves it. I'll take that on a Sunday. Bart, pop round to my house with that strong weed you've got. Funny. No De Ligt, then get Euro. Yeah, I'd probably lean towards Euro. I'd probably go for Euro. In my opinion, I think he's a fantastic player. I think Real Madrid have kind of pulled their interest a little bit. So if that is the case, put your foot on the pedal and go and get that guy. I have no idea, by the way. Again, realised I'm live and the sub count isn't there. So, again, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why it's... Can I put that there? Maybe? Yeah. So let me just check the sub count. Because... like I said, it's not coming up. I'm just having a nightmare morning/afternoon today. Really, really am. So let's have a look. So we've got... oh, for fuck's sake. Again, it's still not telling me. Does anyone just want to come and take over and do a stream? Because my head's fucking everywhere. 5,428 subscribers. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, please do hit that button. Drop us a follow on socials as well. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We're almost at 30k, would you believe it? On TikTok. I think we're close to 4,000 on Instagram, and we're trying to get the Twitter followers up to 2k as well. So if there's anyone in the chat who likes news stories consistently every single day, literally a bang on point to the mark, we put reels and shorts and TikToks out every single day. Very time consuming, but we do it to get content out there for people. And we've just put a reel out today. So hopefully you guys have seen that and enjoyed it. And yeah, big up to everyone. It's going to be a bit of a shorter show. Usually I stay on for 40 minutes, but a lot of stuff to do in the outside world. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Smash a like on the video. Leave your thoughts on Matthijs de Ligt, Greenwood to Juventus heating up, and the Ten Hag contract extension as well. And we will see you guys again tonight at 7 o'clock. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. It's almost